Welcome back for the kickoff of the second half between the Chicago Fire and Portland Timbers. A few new players into the game for each of these sides. We'll run through those as the match continues, but it'll be Chicago starting things off, now attacking from left to right. Davia, the starting defensive midfielder, will still be in the game as the back line also stays stagnant for the Chicago Fire. The right winger, at least in this look right now, Robin Lude, the difference overall with a goal in the 42nd minute, a low, hard-driven strike against the momentum of Pantemis. One change for Portland as we see Felipe Mora coming in, likely to play striker or the number 10, Gage Guetta, who has also been pushing hard for starting minutes in this team. A rookie a few years ago out of Louisville, had the biggest goal of the season for Portland last year in the playoffs. He will be playing in number 9 in this second half. Barroso. Here's the young Portuguese international. Mueller trying to clip it simply over. Simple move, but in a hard sense, to Zinkernagel. Gave a little tease before halftime on Portland Timber additions. Talking with owner Merritt Paulson, he's informed me and the fan base paused that thought as Anthony on a steam run of train. Here's the Timbers attacker all the way through on net, and Anthony wins the foot race and wins the battle for a goal. Just 90 seconds into the second half, and the Timbers have their equalizer courtesy of Anthony. What a big goal that is. A lot of questions of can he be as dominant on the right wing as we saw his 14-goal contribution season last year on the left, and that's an answer in the final preseason game of yes. Just beat his marker for pace, and then Brady left with nothing. So a 1-1 Timbers game. Let's take a look at that entire sequence forming. There's the goal from earlier in which Chicago made it 1-0. That's a really good through ball pass. Anthony beats his defender, puts him on his backside. And that's not the easiest to finish. Gets some loft under it to beat Brady, who went to ground. As I was teasing just before the goal, Timbers owner Merritt Paulson sharing the club are pushing hard for a central defensive midfielder as well as an attacker in the closing weeks of the transfer window. So if you're a Timbers fan, be sure to keep an eye on that. Some potentially new players joining the club. Chara. That's a nice sliding interception. Chicago, with their hair on fire, trying to go the other way. It's the heat that's going to be welcomed considering what Chicago has seen over the last couple of months. More often closer to 0 than it is even a 20. They'll play their opening game of the season on the road nonetheless. In Houston. Pantemis has an easy option to his left. Make it difficult, but still the right read up the avenue to Felipe Mora. Sermon leaves the line, and Anthony, the goal scorer, now. One Chicago defender takes a tumble. Only real changes in this game overall have come on the front line for the Timbers. Felipe Mora coming in to play number 10, and Gage Guetta coming in to play striker. Velda given a rest. Nope, he's still in, just a little bit more in midfield right now. Here comes 99 up into the attack. Anthony with this studs up challenge. Looks like he got the back heel of Marin Haile Silese. Haile Silese had his minutes cut in half last year. Played 30 games, but only started 5 of them. Fortunately for him, he played all 3 playoff games. But in 2 years with Chicago, he's got almost 100 games under his belt with 13 goals and 16 assists. Pretty good attacker overall. And goals last year against Atlanta and DC United. Brady's making this interesting. Sends it high into the perfectly clear sky. Lud threw a ball to Hilliot. So that's Mueller. Forces Sermon to go to ground, and the pop-up to the favor of Pantemis and the Timbers back line. Mora trying to reinvent himself a bit this season, playing as really a primary number 10 here in preseason. With David Acosta out for around 4 games, at least the opening month of the season. It is nice to see DaCosta, though, training with the Portland Timbers. And Omir Fernandez, who was the presumptive backup to David Acosta. It was informed about 3 weeks ago that Omir Fernandez is out for 6 months, so until after the World Cup break with a foot injury. It is going to be a rotating cast at number 10. Hopefully for the Timbers, somebody can take that spot and not let it go. Talked to Christopher Velda about that position a few days ago. He said his preferred spot is sort of a left wing number 10 hybrid. We've seen him do that to great effect in the playoffs against San Diego last year, and also in preseason thus far with 2 goals to his name. Saw some of the spiciness of Velda in preseason as well when he got a red card in a closed-door scrimmage against LAFC. So after a strong first half by the Chicago Fire, Portland have been owning the opening 5 minutes. This goes back to what Chicago struggled with last year, 60 goals against a season ago. With bringing in Waterman and Mbokazi, they hope to be more reliable. Carlos Terán was a very good defender for Chicago a season ago, but his injuries just made him a bit unreliable, and eventually he was moved on this offseason. Good ball up the left wing. Haile Selassie. Zinkernagel. Connecting with Lud. Zinkernagel keeps it low, and Pantemis, like a second baseman in baseball, puts a knee down and collects. Velda, always noticeable through his running style in number 99. Good cross towards the back post, and Mora's going to have to sprint to reach it by the corner flag. Mora had a career year in 2024 and was matching that quality to start 2025, but hit a pretty lengthy drought in Major League Soccer. Got his confidence back in the wild card win over RSL, where he had a brace in that game, both poachers' goals. Now he's hoping for a similar start to 25 to 26, in which he had in 25 and 24. Chara. Velda. And Foray was eager on the overlap, but his stamina will be wasted as it's an offside by Velda. Now the Norwegian has to get back and help cover that space in which Foray previously occupied. Zinkernagel. Saletros. Both these teams leaving very strong 11s out on the pitch. MLS is just around the corner. 7 days from now, Portland and Chicago will be playing the opening game of their seasons. Chicago on the road against Houston. Portland, the 100th anniversary of Providence Park, the opener at home against Columbus. Zinkernagel just had a shot from this real estate. Will be unselfish this time around. Clipped over the top, could have been ugly. Foray evades the flying boot. All the key figures with Chicago back again this season. For a team that has so much history, both good and bad. Last year was their best offense in Chicago Fire history. And while MLS has changed so much year by year, the 34-game schedule has been true.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I get perfect notes from every meeting. I click this toggle to send my AI note taker to my meetings, even if I can't attend. My AI note taker records the entire meeting and creates a full transcript. After the meeting, I get a doc with the recording, takeaways, and even the action items. AI turns these action items into tasks so we actually get things done. ClickUp makes work easy, from personal projects to running a multi-billion-dollar company. Click the link below to create your workspace for free.
Get into the upper echelon of the Western Conference. Is replacing David Ashall, at least in terms of position, and wow, what a save by Brady. Goes low on the second effort, it's still in front, and Gage Getta, who's been pushing for minutes, and that's a great way to do it. Pierces the back of the net of an initial wonderful save by Brady, even doubles the effort, but Gage Getta makes sure to hammer home the third. Timbers up 2-1. Gage Getta scored a brace on the final preseason game against San Diego this time last year. In the regular season, he scored in the Open Cup, he scored in the playoffs. He only had 5 MLS appearances last year through the regular season. When he came on, he was usually a winger. Talking to those within the club, there is certainly a push for Gage Getta to be more of a figure for this Portland Timbers attack. Just 23 years old. Signed only his first team deal last June. 6 months on, he's making a push to steal some of Kevin Kelsey's minutes. It's hard for somebody like Guerra in the sense that the Timbers only really play a one-striker system. So obviously you want to get on the pitch regardless, but his best spot is certainly striker. Timbers in the 57, you have to feel good about what they've seen so far in this second half. Here come Portland yet again, fresh off taking the lead, courtesy of Gage Getta and Anthony in this second half. The initial ask by Felipe Mora was a very good low save by Chris Brady. But the rebound never made its way outside of the 6-yard box. Or obviously a striker in his 6 years in Portland, so good at hold-up play, and hoping those skills translate to more of a midfielder position in 2026. Bassett into Getta again, and wow, stonewalled by Brady. Timbers doing something right in the opening 15 minutes. That's not a position you see the Timbers, really any team in MLS, cross often from. That right central channel, 35 yards out. Bassett just wraps his foot around it and picks out Getta by the PK spot. Getta 4 years ago, the Patriot League Player of the Year. Pause that thought. Here's Chicago. Zinkernagel takes a slip and was hoping Bonateg would do the same. But the Australian stays on his feet. Barroso takes his pocket off the pass. Saletros, Hilliot, Haile Selassie. He's in a tricky situation. 8 of Chicago's 10 outfield players in the attacking third, and the 2 left out of the party. The center backs aren't so far behind, so you can tell Mbokazi on the ball. Mbokazi, who his veteran teammate Andrew Gutman called incredible in preseason so far. Despite just 20 years old, it would not be a surprise to see him start the season opener. Chara wins the battle against Barroso. Zinkernagel into the 18. Finn Sermon draped on him for a moment, trying to go by the PK spot. Chicago unselfish, maybe to their demise, and the shot that eventually registered is blocked. Velde runs towards his own goal, but it opens up a passing lane to Forey, and central ultimately to Bassett. surrender of the battle by Chicago's attack. And 2/3 into the game, Portland, who didn't have their best first half, have come out storming in the second. Well, obviously different circumstances and more of a casual halftime speech and talk just on the sideline here. Phil Neville, as a manager, is really well known for halftime adjustments and his team coming out strong for a second 45. After the first, it is not ideal. Pinging a ball into Mora. Just gets his forehead to it. Cushions the ball to Velde, who's gonna try the effort from distance, and it gets Brady to bite, but it was wide. Neville calling this competition week. You have to think these attackers that have come into the second give Neville and Portland's coaching staff something to think about coming to Columbus a week from now. While Chicago was sort of a feel-good story, making the wild card and eventually the playoffs last year after a very good attack in Greg Berhalter's season. For Chicago, this is a team that has made the postseason in 9 of its 15 years. There's an expectation of being in the first round and going beyond that. Last time they won a playoff series outside of the wild card win they had against RSL was 2021 when they made it all the way to MLS Cup. Bowed out at home to NYCFC, who are playing in about an hour from now here at Coachella. Zinkernagel pushing the issue and a nice shot by Chicago. Chris Mueller, who didn't play a second in MLS last year, has absolutely come to life here at Coachella. Greg Berhalter has to love what he is seeing. Chicago constantly working around the 18. Once they find that lane to go inside, Wheeler just takes one prep touch and then squeezes it out. He's got 2 goals and an assist through 3 preseason games. He has certainly been a story. Let's take a look at that to confirm it is Mueller. Zinkernagel with the primary assist. And no chance for Pantemis from close range. Yep, number 8. Chris Mueller with the goal from Schaumburg, Illinois. Back in his Orlando days, collected 2 caps with the U.S. men's national team. Now 29 years old, hasn't been able to really partake in MLS action since he was 27. Through hip and lower body injuries. Funnily enough, he scored his first pro goal against the Portland Timbers in 2018 as a member of Orlando. Velde, quarterbacking from midfield, finds Anthony on that right wing. And Chara will put an end to that. Chara, yellow card away for the most in MLS history. Depends where you look, but talking to the Portland Timbers communications staff, he is 1 behind Beckerman. Barroso. Lude outright. Midfielder has done a good shift at right wing in this one. Zinkernagel. Chara cuts it out. Mueller probably the big winner here of perhaps any team at the Coachella Valley Invitational with 2 goals and an assist. Even surprising some Chicago fans who thought he'd be a bit behind the pace, and he has not been. Saletros. Barroso. Zinkernagel's popped up all over. Understand why he got 15 assists the season to go, and it's Chicago Fire MVP. Haile Selassie. Oh, it falls fortunately for Barroso. Thankfully, Finn Sermon is there for Portland, and on the follow-up effort, a great chance to make it 3-2. It will go high and still rising up into the California mountains. Last season, after a loss to Vancouver, Portland had an ideal start to the season. Their best through 10 games in their history. Ken Velde hoped to match that point total, which saw them sitting in the top 4 and just a point off second. Forey for Portland was sort of the surprise player, a rather unknown signing from Columbia. Actually, the same club they signed Juan Mascara, the opposite side fullback, from. If it works once, he may as well go back to the well. Who is going to be the surprise for Portland this year? Elliott nearly trucks his own goalie, Brady. Those two are understanding of one another. Jack Elliott, originally from London over in England, went to West Virginia, though. He was the captain for every game for Chicago last year after May. And with attacking fullbacks on each side of him, he's going to have to be that rock defensively. Mbokazi, even the center back next to him, likes to defend more in the channels, kind of step up into midfield and make big tackles. Elliott's got his work cut out for him. There's not an expectation that Chicago is going to be any sort of top 5 back line, but they need to allow closer to 50 than they do 60. Zinkernagel, a square ball, aiming for Mueller. Barroso adjusting. And we'll see a substitution come into the game for Chicago.
This is a sub.
Looks like Hilliot is exiting. Puso Ditejane coming in. In 2024, Chicago had just 30 points on the season. Last year, they had 29 on the road. They're accustomed to success away from Soldier Field. We've seen that at Coachella just in preseason alone. Elliott using his tall frame. Gage Gitta gets it out of danger for a moment. It's still alive. Elliott, it's a tough situation for his fellow center back, Mbokazi. Saletros. Mueller trying to tack onto an assist to his goal already. Davila. Jersey tugs on each end. Sermon contorts his neck to get that ball away. We're making 2 substitutions here, and neither surprising. Mentioned before this game even kicked off how it's essentially a first-choice 11 for the Timbers. These two would like to have a say about that. João Ortiz, a big signing out of the Ecuadorian League, one of the best midfielders there, and a full Ecuadorian international with 9 caps will come on, along with Kamal Miller, who will take off Alex Bonateg. Those two, it's really the position of Kamal Miller versus Alex Bonateg. Who is going to be the starting center back next to Finn Sermon for the first 14 games of the season before the World Cup hiatus? For Kamal Miller and Alex Bonateg, it is crucial to get minutes considering it is a World Cup campaign. Bonateg pushing to be in the Australia plane as Kamal Miller has 50 caps already for Canada. He'd like to stay in the good graces of Jesse Marsh. Here's the delivery for Chicago. That header won immediately by Kamal Miller. Bonateg got the start in the first game against DC United, pitched a clean sheet. Kamal Miller got the start in the second against San Jose. Was in the game for 1 goal against before being subbed off for Academy and Timbers 2 players to get a shot. Better delivery this time. A little bit of a bumble by Pantemis, and then here's a one-man break. Let's see the pace, Anthony. 2 fighting back. Barroso. Can Anthony get there first? The pace of the Brazilian already has 1, can't get another. Impressive even to make it that far. Obviously harder to run with the ball than without it, and 2 of the speediest players in Chicago are on his tail the entire time. Anthony has played every second of this game with a goal already. Anthony, his first full season with Portland, with 6 goals and 6 assists. He always performs best against the Colorado Rapids for some reason. Last year he had 7 goals and 7 assists. Davila takes down Felipe Mora. A whistle slightly after the action occurs. Nonetheless, Portland will have a nice free kick here, preferably for a left footer, which I don't think there's really any on the pitch. Ari Laster is primarily the left-footed delivery for Portland. He is taken off. You do have Jimmer Forey, who's a lefty, as well as Kamal Miller, but 2 defenders who are not used to taking set pieces. Back on Anthony, who we mentioned had 6 goals and 6 assists in 24, had 7 and 7 in 25, hoping for 8 and 8 this year. That would certainly be a great season for the Timbers U22. He was probably the Portland Timbers' best player up until the summer when he had a hamstring pull against the San Jose Earthquakes. It didn't seem like much, but it kept him out for 2 months. And it took him a bit to regain that form. Ultimately, had 2 assists in the playoffs, and he's hoping he can continue the good times into 2026. So Portland will put out that left-footed option in Jimmer Forey along with Christopher Velda. João Ortiz, the lone man back for Portland, but Cole Bassett there to help also. Chicago not posing much of a counterattack threat as all 10 outfield players are within their own 18. Just 1 in the wall jump, and Finn Sermon leaps high. The New Zealand international is met by a wall of red. Brady was thinking about Zinkernagel sprinting up the left wing. We'll go in that direction, but simpler.
I've been taking this course for the past 30 days and it's been absolutely amazing. It's called 100 Days of Code, a complete Python Pro bootcamp. It's literally a 100-day plan where you'll learn the basics of Python and you'll be building awesome projects like predicting housing prices on final days. This course is taught by Dr. Angela Wu, who is a senior developer, so you know you're learning from the best. Also, the course is hosted on Udemy, which is one of the best platforms for learning how to code because it has a much more affordable pricing comparing to other platforms. And once you purchase the course, you're going to have a lifetime access to the course and the future updates, all for free. Go check it out.
To correct the substitution from about 5 minutes ago, Amari Glasgow, a forward, wing back, left back, whatever you like on that wing. The 22-year-old who played 14 games last year took over from Haile Selassie at that left back slot, which has essentially been a left winger in this game. Chicago, whether in the 4-3-3 or the 3-4-3, those right and left wingers love to tuck inside. You see it with Zinkernagel. Here's Anthony. He's been so quick today and so successful. Here's another go at it. Gets past 1, gets past 2, and Anthony right on the doorstep. Can't finish it, but another nice run by the Brazilian. Felipe Mora on the follow through, and he finds it. This second half Timbers attack is having the time of their life. Anthony with the hard work, and then Mora finishes it off on a volley. Timbers up 3-2 in inverse of how their last game with San Jose went. Smart play by Anthony to not just try to whip it back on frame, but actually pick his head up and find Mora at the top of the box for a nice volley. Takes 1 bounce off the chest and no chance for Brady. Mora last game against San Jose had a pretty similar vibe, but didn't even bounce once, and it clipped off the upper side of the bar. And Portland's having a great second 45 in their final preseason game. Their NWSL counterpart in the city of the Portland Thorns will be playing here at this same time tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. kickoff. Mbokazi and Elliott. It's been a stereotypical Chicago Fire game. Score a lot of goals, give up a bunch. Lud and Mueller, the two for Chicago. Zinkernagel. Seletros, a pair who are some of the first names on the team sheet, have played this entirety. Barroso. Mueller finds a pocket of space through the middle. Zinkernagel. And Ortiz comes back to deny. Forey will help out his teammate. Smart header by Chicago, though. Elliott to restart things. Trying to find its way into the box to Barroso, and I think the Portuguese thought it was going to go to Zinkernagel, who was running behind him, but he was busy adjusting his socks. Two substitutions gearing up for Portland. Out goes Brandon Bai, as well as Anthony, who has probably been the player of the game for the Timbers, not just for his goal and assists, but also just the chances he's created. At right back will come in homegrown Sawyer Jura, who is a full first-team member. Velda. Ortiz. Giving Velda a crack. Sawyer Jura, who will be competing with Brandon Bai for the majority of backup minutes behind Juan Mascara. Jura, I've watched the last 3 years compete with Timbers too. Also very capable at left back as well. So if you have an injury problem at either fullback position, the 19-year-old should be called into action. Miller, powerful header. Pantemis allowed to pick this up if he wants, but no pressure from anybody in red. Bassett lets it run through. Him and Velda have each played this whole game. Trying to beat the line. Mbokazi is right there, and Davila, a wall that was late to the spot. No support of Velda getting up. Davila will trot back hesitantly back to his defensive midfielder spot. Forey uses his toes to poke that through. Bassett. Sermon, not his best touch, and Portland will reset. Jura. Portland want to get him into some crossing positions. Really good at crossing from fullback. Lud. Seletros. Mara Glasgow in the overlap. Seletros again. I think he had Ari Lassiter riding his shoulder. Mueller. Trying to get the give and go. Mueller onto his left. Finds some open space and blocked by Bassett. Interestingly enough, number 7, Ari Lassiter, did start this game, went out, and then when Sawyer Jura came in, Ari Lassiter also came back into the game. So 2 different stints, 45 minutes the first time around, and now he's going to play the final 15. Costa Rican international. Here is Chicago, and at the top of the sphere, that's one that Zinkernagel's going to want back. 15 goals a season ago. He finishes that in his sleep, just inside of the penalty arc. His left-footed strike goes way too high. Sermon to Jura. Jura been capped at essentially every youth national team level. Of the homegrowns, he's expected to have the most minutes with the first team this year. Portland, why they are interested in pushing for 2 new players. This is a pretty settled squad overall. It's in Phil Neville's image, something that has taken 2 seasons to truly accomplish. Forey had Velde up the left wing. Wanted more with Gage Guetta running through the middle. Picked off by Celestros. Through ball to nobody in particular, and Chicago will save their energy. Ortiz didn't see an outlet he likes. Uses the body language as an apology for Gage Guetta. Possession, the friend of Portland, looking for their first win for public eyes at Coachella. The interesting the Timbers have been doing is setting their right back way up the pitch, which Jura is comfortable doing. Let the ball run through for Lassiter. He didn't complete the run, but it was going to be tough for the Costa Rican to get there regardless. If you're a longtime MLS fan, you obviously know Ari Lassiter, but you also know his dad, Roy Lassiter, the first ever Golden Boot winner in Major League Soccer. Ari is through and through his childhood and professional days an MLS family. Forey across his own frame of goal. Sermon still calm, and Pantemis plays through the gut. Portland making the uncomfortable seem easy. Not much of a press from either of these teams in the game until now for Chicago, who are, of course, chasing. Lassiter pokes it around Elliott. Here's Ari Lassiter. He is left-footed, and a good save by Brady. Glasgow gets past Jura. Lude does his dance onto his right foot, takes a deflection, and thankfully for Jim Rafori and the Timbers back line, they'll just suffer a corner kick and not a ball being slowly walked back to the halfway line. Chicago have about a 4.5-hour flight home. Portland's just a smidge over 2. And preparations really begin now. No more saving anybody. 3 points in February count the same as they would in October. Each Portland and Chicago looking for a fast start. They're teams that have been picked in the middle of the respective conference. They're hoping to prove the doubters wrong. Davila, not one to shoot. Put it in the safe boots of Mueller instead. Clip towards the back post. Elliott, the center back, is up in the action. He's going to be called for a foul. Timbers goalie James Pantemis the last couple of years has come into the season as the presumptive backup to Max Crépeau, who's a regular with Canada, a former MLS Cup champion with LAFC. Crépeau, after 2 years with Portland that were up and down, heads to Orlando as a free agent, which makes way for Pantemis to be the outright starter. And even the last 2 years when the games become most important, heading into the wild card and the postseason, James Pantemis has been the starter. Pants last year, 7 wins, just 4 losses, and 8 draws. .76 save percentage, was top 5 in MLS as well. Quick reaction saves, and we see it in this game. Lod. A stalemate at a kick out. Mueller trying to settle things down. Lod kind of bringing it onto his right foot. It's a dance in the box. Nobody really having a strike at it, and Chicago on the scramble drill. And last score, 3-3. The chance that was Marin Haile Selassie or Chris Mueller yet again. Haile Selassie, 2 goals last year with the Fire. Let's keep an eye on him. Lod doing the hard work. Glasgow had a shot at it. And eventually, it is Chicago with the third in the 87th minute. It's been a really entertaining second half overall. Barroso gave Velda a shove, and it's going to be Chicago ball. All of Chicago's game here at the tournament have been high scoring. 5 goals with LA Galaxy a week ago, 4 midweek with Austin, and this time around 6 for the Portland Timbers. Barroso in midfield. Can't collect. Veldet will try to take it off of him. Those two have been battling all day long. Forey sends a pitching wedge up to get up. Glasgow. Greg Berhalter experimenting with a lot of attacking players at that left back slot. Chicago trying to steal it after being down 2-1 and 3-2 in this game. Velda cuts to the inside of Davila. This time he is more forgiving. Jay Davila played 21 games last year, starting 11. Come the playoffs, he started each and every contest, playing nearly every second. In the second year of a 4-year contract with the Chicago Fire. Bassett, still on his Colorado deal, in which he signed a few years back, which will keep him as a U22 DP. 2026, but he will not be on that tag, though still under contract in 2027. A chore for GM Ned Grabavoy to worry about in the coming year and a half. Jura makes his way up into an attack. Gets it picked off of him, but he'll happily take the corner kick in the 90th. 2 minutes of stoppage time allowed across the way as Charlotte takes down Minnesota United 1-0. Second look, it's a 2-1 game. Charlotte wins. Lassiter in for the second time today. Portland trying to win it at the death in a scramble drill. They do. A player down for Chicago afterwards, but it looks like Felipe Mora a brace in the second half. Portland likely on to win 4-3. Scramble drill on each end. And Portland had not much going for them at the 45 marker. But in this second, they can't stop scoring. Felipe Mora and Antony, likely the players of the game. Let's see who ultimately gets credit here. Brady could potentially do better there, but there's so many in front of him. Yeah, that is Felipe Mora. No deflection on the way either. Felipe Mora's braced the difference, and there goes the final whistle. The Portland Timbers win their final preseason game 4-3 in a 7-goal thriller. One of the best at Coachella will close out preseason for these two great programs. Overall, Felipe Mora probably getting the man of the match honors after 2 goals and some nice passes. But Antony, his pace all game long has been exciting.